Welcome, Facebook live stream viewers and listeners. Welcome to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. I'm so happy to be here with you today. It's an important time in what's going on in the world, and it's an important time for every individual on this planet. And I'm very excited about this show today, which I'm calling Is Peace Possible? And I'm going to be talking about that very topic with an amazing woman today, Nicki Keohohou, who is a Hawaiian woman. Well, actually, she's not totally Hawaiian. She's Native American, but she's lived in Hawaii with her Hawaiian husband for many years. And she has some beautiful insights as to whether or not peace is possible. And if it is, exactly how do we do that? How can we make it happen? So welcome to Change It Up Radio. As you know, our show is about change. And boy, are we in the middle of a lot of change right now. The goal of this show is to bring people information to make change smoother and more productive, and also to spotlight change makers who are trying to make the world a better place. You can hear past episodes of this show because we have some amazing past episodes. We always have sterling guests on this show. You can hear past episodes and get information about the show and about being a guest or a sponsor of the show on changeitupradio.com. That's changeitupradio.com. Those of you who follow the show know that I am an author, I am a speaker, I'm a life transition coach, and I am obviously the host of this podcast. But I am obsessed with change and transition and what it does in the lives of human beings. Because we have this love-hate relationship with change. We need it to grow and to make life interesting, and yet we hate the discomfort of the unfamiliar. And sometimes it's really hard for us to accept the unfamiliar. And right now, we're dealing with so many circumstances of the unfamiliar. And I think part of what's going on with everybody is this discomfort. They don't know quite what to do with what's going on. And we all know there are issues on the planet right now, things happening in nearly every country that are about the struggle that has gone on in the US in the last couple of weeks over the issue of racism. And I thought it would be worthwhile to actually read you a definition of racism, so we'd all be kind of coming from the same page. Racism can be understood as an organized system based on the categorization and ranking of racial/ethnic groups into social hierarchies, whereby ethnic groups are assigned differential value and have differential access to power, opportunities, and resources, resulting in disadvantage for some groups and advantage for others. So just hearing that definition, you can see how that kind of a circumstance does not set the stage for harmony. It doesn't set the stage for equal opportunity. It doesn't set the stage for the appreciation that all humans are one, that all humans are equal. No, instead it talks about this disharmony. And that's why I named this show today, Is Peace Possible? Because in conversation with my amazing guest, who you will meet in the next segment, we were discussing some of the reasons why she believes that Hawaii lives in an incredible harmony. And those circumstances, those reasons were so beautiful. And I just suddenly went, oh my God, Hawaii is a template for peace. Hawaii has figured out some things that other countries have been struggling with for years, hundreds and thousands of years. And basically what's at the core of it is the ability maybe to rather than to stand in judgment of something, to look for the value in it. We're going through all this upheaval now, and just look at how some people are viewing it. To some people, it's chaos and anarchy and doom and gloom, and there's fear and anger and resentment attached to what's happening. And then for other people, it's a new beginning. It's an opportunity for much needed change. I heard the greatest quote the other day, and I wanted to share that with you. And I just want to be sure I get it exactly right. New beginnings are often disguised as painful endings. Isn't that great? New beginnings are often disguised as painful endings. So we may be right now in the painful endings stage. We may be going through some upheaval and struggle because there's a lot of emotionality about what's happening in our world. But we also may be standing at the threshold of a new beginning that could be so awesome. That could be the way it always should have been, with all men truly created equal, with equal opportunity, and with the possibility of a beautiful, creative, happy, successful, fulfilling, peaceful life. I think that's a dream worth fighting for. I think that's a goal that would be so beautiful. And I heard another line recently that was so beautiful, because I know a lot of people are expressing fear and anger and upset about the protests, the riots, the looting. And many people want to jump right to solution, because of course none of us like violence. None of us want to be afraid that we're not safe. But a friend of mine, Kimberly Marsh, recently said, you have to hear before you can heal. So it's actually a time now to hear, what are the grievances? What are the problems? What are the issues? We need to hear all of that. We need to hear each other without judgment before we can figure out how to heal things. And I'm so excited for you to meet Nicki, because she has shared some things with me that have really renewed my faith in the possibility that humans are capable of hearing and implementing change. But it's interesting. I remember once in one of my grief groups, as many of you know, I wrote a book called Grief, When Will This Pain Ever End? And also another one dealing with uncomfortable conversations called Saying the Right Thing When You Don't Know What to Say. But in one of my grief groups, I remember once one of my participants who went through some heinous abuse from his parents as a child. And we were working on that situation. And he was supposed to do some kind of emotive work with the issues, with the pain that he had experienced as a child. And instead, he jumped right to forgiving his parents. And guess what happened? the pain had not yet been expressed. The inner child had not had its day in the sun. And so he was not able to move to forgiveness yet. We have to be heard before we can heal. How many times in relationships have you had that happen where somebody says, all right, let's just move on, but you haven't been heard yet. You haven't had your day in the sun. That part of you that's aching needs to be heard, needs to have some sort of reassurance that this other person understands what's going on with you. And without that reassurance, it's very hard to move into forgiveness because we're not sure things will really change. We're not sure we were really heard and understood. And remember, all human beings need to be seen, they need to feel seen, heard, and understood. We all operate so much better when we feel that that's potential for us in a circumstance. And so it's very, very important that we hear before we try to heal. So two of the most important parts of a healing, of a shift to a new consciousness, a new way of being, are forgiveness and acceptance. And so we've talked about forgiveness, which is critical. But remember, forgiveness that comes too quickly sometimes doesn't really heal. So we again, that aspect we've been discussing about being heard. But acceptance, I feel like this is the magic word. This is the core of that question. Is peace possible? Can we accept others out there? Can we accept different cultures, different beliefs, different religions, different ways of dressing, of being, of loving? Can we accept those? Or do we stand in our position of rightness and just put down everything that isn't us? Everything that everyone that doesn't see the world the way we see it is wrong. Is that where we're going to come from? Because that sounds to me like a pretty sure recipe for dissension and upheaval and problems. But if I can adopt the true belief, the true acceptance and knowing that my way is just my way, and your way is your way, and that's cool. Makes life a lot more interesting, doesn't it? If I can learn to appreciate differences, I've got a real shot at living on this planet peacefully, being able to accept others and truly love others and experience harmony and grace and well-being and ease. Aren't those words so much better than anger and resentment and fear and retribution and all of those words? Because the best thing about life on planet Earth is that God created so many varieties of people and ways of being. We could study it for the rest of our lives and try to meet every different kind of person out there. And it would be interesting, it would be fun, and it would never be done. And that's the beauty of life on planet Earth, I think. So is peace possible? Well, right now we've got some real problems. Right now, we've got a lot of people who are not in a state of acceptance. And yet there are places on the planet where they seem to have figured it out. And one of them seems to be Hawaii. So when we come back from this little break, I'm going to introduce you to somebody who is dialed right in on what's going on in Hawaii. and she's going to share some great information with us. So please stay with us. We will be right back with Nicki Keohohou. Be right back. Okay. You Facebook live stream viewers, by the way, you're backstage on the recording of Change It Up Radio. So you are not seeing the fully produced show. This will go to my sound editors and it'll all be put together. So please have fun with us being backstage. All right, here we go. Let me just grab your bio. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. And as promised in this segment, I am going to introduce you to one very amazing lady. Let me tell you just a little bit about Nicki Keohohou. She began her career as a teacher and an athletic coach. But woman has done a whole lot since then. She's had executive positions of CEO, president, COO, VP of training, and VP of sales. And currently, she is the CEO of the Direct Selling World Alliance. And she's co-founder of the Coach Excellence School. She has been nominated for an All Women Rock Award for Hawaii. I love that, All Women Rock. Top 25 businesswomen of Hawaii, top 30 female entrepreneurs in America, and the International Hero for Humanity. She lives in Kauai, Hawaii with her husband, Safari, and he's been her guy for over 45 years. That speaks for itself. She's got 2 adult children and lots of grandchildren that she adores. So Nicki, welcome.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited to be with you.
I am excited to have you here, especially in light of what we're talking about today, because I will tell you, when anybody ever asks me, what is the most peaceful experience you've ever had? Or, what is your most happy, at ease memory of the vacation? It is sitting on the beach in Hawaii.
Yes.
So I do think you guys know something about peace. And the title of our show today is Peace Possible? And we're going through a lot, obviously. But I'm wondering, because you and I had a great talk the other day, and I've been sharing about that. Okay, what is Hawaii's secret sauce? How do you think Hawaii has come to this place where people are living so much in harmony?
Oh, thank you. I love Hawaii, and people ask me all the time, Nicki, how can you be so peaceful? I believe we carry peace in our own heart, and there's a lot of reasons and ways you can do that yourself. Anybody can learn how to do that. What Hawaii has learned is that we are all different. We're the melting pot. We have Chinese, Japanese, Micronesians, Tongans, Samoans, Hawaiians, Filipinos. We have and Spanish is there's a big Spanish group here, culture. So we have a lot of, as well as Caucasians. So there's every kind of person that is here, and we learn to all work together and get along and appreciate the differences in one another. Like when you go out to eat dinner here, you can go to any kind of restaurant depending on what kind of food you like. We've got Indian, we've got everything. So I'm just saying that what we've learned is there's no 2 people exactly alike. And yesterday was my daughter's birthday, and we all went to our beautiful Kailua Beach here on Oahu. And it was interesting to see what happened. I sat there and I looked around the beach, and people social distance and so on. But I saw almost every kind of culture across that beach. And I saw all these children that looked different from one another. Even my own grandchildren. We go from white chocolate to dark chocolate. We have all different shades of coloring. I just have to tell you something funny. We went up to Utah one time, and one of my third to the oldest grandson, he said, Mimi, these people need sun. They're also white. And they have those eyes like that dog. He'd never seen that many blue eyes like
Oh,
this
fun.
dog. It was funny just to hear him because he hadn't been around that much. Here, everybody looks a little different.
Hmm.
People don't notice. We don't see the color. We see the person, and I
And
love that.
do you think that's the reason that all these different cultures don't lead to conflict?
I believe so, and we appreciate the differences and the uniqueness. You
Mm.
know, the Filipino people bring some particular talents and skills. The Hawaiian people, we have our own gifts and talents, and I think we look for that to appreciate the differences. But
Mm.
also we have what is called the Aloha Spirit. And the Aloha Spirit is taking it, feeling things. It really comes from the heart. It's
Mhm.
not just the head. It comes from the heart. In fact, I looked it up because I thought, I know what it is, but I want to know what the dictionary says. And it said it is the coordination of mind and heart within each person. It's
Mm.
having good feelings to others. So we hope when people come to Hawaii, they feel the Aloha Spirit. They know that people care about you as a person, not by your color.
Mm. What are the words, Nikki, that come to mind when you think about Hawaii, this aloha spirit and all that? What are some of the words that come into your mind that would describe it?
Well, peace is a big one.
Mm.
People
Huge,
live in peace.
huge.
And when you walk down the street, you could have one guy that has $1 million in his pocket, and the other guy has 2 pennies or nothing, and nobody judges them. We
Mm.
look the same. I mean, we just see people as one, and money is not the answer to all that. Peace is one, harmony.
Mm.
And our music and our words, the Hawaiian words are very melodic.
Yes.
So it's just like harmony is a big factor there. Joy. When I think of Hawaii, I think of joy. People are happy in general. And even now, under these challenging times, we aren't having fighting and unrest and all that stuff. And people are supporting one another. You know, and I need to share this little story because it was really very powerful. My little granddaughters, two of them, at my son's home, we have a lot of papayas. I look out the window, I have 100 papayas in one tree.
I
And
love.
my little Maya goes, Mimi, we have so many papayas and there are so many people that are hungry. Why don't we put a basket and put them out there and tell people they can take some?
Oh.
I said, well, that's a good idea. And she said, well, Papa will help me get him down. Then we'll get the basket and we'll put it out and say 2 per visit so people don't take all of them at once, which really we didn't have a problem with hoarding, which was good.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so she puts it out there. She goes, and I have a stash of fruit roll-ups and I'm going to go and wipe them off with our Clorox wipes. And then what I'm going to do is stand outside inside the fence. And if those people have kids in their car, I'm going to throw the fruit roll-ups over the fence. And I thought, that's the attitude of the children. It is giving.
Yeah.
There's more than enough. So generous of spirit is another word that comes to mind. Uh,
Mm.
and I think family oriented. Even if you don't have a lot of money, you can play out in the yard. So, and people take care of the elderly here. The seniors are well taken care of. We don't have very many nursing homes because people keep them in their homes, multi generations in
Really.
their homes. So, it's just a different culture, I guess, than any place I've been in the world.
One of the words that comes to my mind in what you're describing is tolerance,
Is
right?
is yes,
Not being in that state of judgment
yes,
of a culture that's different than mine, but being tolerant and actually maybe even inquisitive and interested.
yes.
What's the value of this culture? What works in it? What doesn't? It's another place to learn.
That is right. And the dances and the music, and you get to learn from every culture. We don't see the culture. We
Uh-huh.
see the person and
Yes,
who they are. And
I
I think
love
that's
that.
something important for all of us to learn. We
Yeah.
don't need to, the word judgment is a tough word. But I tell you what, we have judgment in our world, and people decide by looking at you, or one thing that maybe you said, that you're all like that. And
Yes.
it's not like that.
No.
We're all people. That's what we have in common.
And, you know, when we can get to that place, when we can see that oneness that actually exists, that all humans basically are the same. You know, our outside covering looks different, but the inside's pretty much the same in every human. And if we could just get into that, you know, one of the things that really struck me over the weekend was marches. There were peaceful protest marches in Paris, in Sydney, in London,
Yes.
places where, you know, it was not America. And I truly believe, and this is just a Paula Shaw opinion, I have no science to base this on, but I think that those people were marching because this COVID crisis that we've all been living through together, one of the blessings of it is it's created a true global consciousness.
Yes.
And so just because this happened in America, that George Floyd died at the hands of police brutality, that doesn't mean people in Paris aren't concerned, or
Yes.
people in London or Sydney, and that they are seeing the oneness of us all. And we cannot have injustice in one place because it impacts us all.
Mm. And along that same line, I don't know that this situation would have gone this far had people not been in lockdown and having some financial challenges and other things going on.
Right.
I think it wouldn't have been so dramatic with the looting and the drama part.
Yes.
Maybe protests would have still been there, but I don't think we'd have the same situation.
Yes. You know, I mean, it's funny, what's come to mind to me so many times this week is the Boston Tea Party, you know, which is a part of our history we proudly look toward. Really, when you think about it, we were angry, we were feeling mistreated, and it was kind of an experience of looting and rioting.
Yes.
You know, and I'm not saying that's what we want more of. Absolutely not. We don't want violence, but I think it's important that we all strive to understand the frustration, the problem underneath that created this circumstance. And I'm sure you're right. One of the contributors, for sure, was the fact that everybody's been locked down for a while dealing with the virus. And that's been tough on
And as we come back from the break, I'd like to talk a little bit about how people can control that in their own being, how we can work on ourselves so we don't get as angry, we don't get upset over everything, especially the things we have no control over.
I would love that. I think that's so important. You know, I mean, it really does all come back to that old line, be the change you want to see in the world, right?
Yes.
So make those changes in yourself first, and then we radiate that out to the world. And that's a real blessing.
And
So
teach our children to do the same. Teach our children to do the same.
Yes, that's the biggest thing, isn't it? We've got to teach the children to do the same. So when we come back from this break, we're going to talk about just that. And we will be right back. All right, Ms. Nicki, if you're ready, let's just come back from that break.
Okay.
Okay. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio here with Paula Shaw. And my guest today is Nicki Keohohou. And she is coming to us from Hawaii, land of enchantment and peace and lovely experiences. And we've been talking about, is peace possible? And what is it in Hawaii that makes it a kind of template for peace? What are the things that are working? We've been talking about that. And we're also going to talk about now, where does peace actually begin? Does it begin with the government? Does it begin out there? Or does it begin within you?
Hmm.
Nicki, what's your thoughts about that?
Totally begins within us.
Mm.
You see, you can carry your peace with you. It's really how you look at the world. Part of that is having an attitude of gratitude. You
Mm.
know, going back to those little papayas, the families that said thank you so much, and the people that waved and honked, and, with appreciation.
Mhm.
Small things make a big difference. If
Mhm.
we live in fear that everybody's a bad person, or they're going to rob me, or they're going to hurt me, or they're going to do whatever, all we're doing is setting ourselves up to receive that kind of, of results in life. See,
Yes.
everything begins with our thinking, how we are thinking, our thoughts, and we're in charge of our thoughts.
Mhm.
That's why I don't watch the news much, because I really don't want them to influence my thoughts. My thoughts are,
Me
I'm
too.
blessed. It's a beautiful world.
Yeah.
I'm thankful. I
Yeah.
have wonderful family around me. I live in an attitude of gratitude.
Mhm.
You live in an attitude of gratitude. The small things to be grateful for, your thoughts will shift to great things. See,
Mm.
when you get that negative thought, the negative thing that says, why did this happen to me? Well, that will judge yourself. You're setting yourself up to judge yourself. So you might ask yourself, what could I do differently next time? Self coaching is a
Wait a
key.
minute. Wait a minute. Say that again, Nikki. That's
Yeah.
so good.
Okay.
Instead of why did this happen to me and
Me,
the old
what
pity
can I
party.
do differently next time to get a different result?
Mm. You know what
So,
I also love about that? It implies that we have responsibility
oh yes,
in what we're experiencing. We're creating it, right?
that's exactly what it is. Because see, many people live what I call below the line. So write this down on a paper if you're at a place that you can write.
Okay.
Put the word responsibility. Responsibility.
Hmm.
See, we must be responsible for our own actions. People that live below the line, so draw a line under responsibility and write blame, shame, and justify.
Mm.
People that live below the line blame other people, blame the police, blame the economy, blame the president, blame somebody else. Shame, we find, or we're not really smart enough, or we're underprivileged, or so it's taking shame on self. Justify, well, I can't because of this.
Right.
And if we live below the line, we attract things that are the results we don't want.
Yes.
So it's being responsible for our own thinking, our own actions. What do we choose to do with the situation? Like here's you have a question with that. Yes.
Well, I just was thinking, so many times in my private practice and stuff, I'll hear people say, well, I can't help it. That's just the way I am. That's just the way I think. What do you say to that?
Uh, so what can you do about that? What is in your control?
Right.
Because here's the thing. We are all in control of our own thoughts. We
Yeah.
are in control. Think about people that are brainwashed in the army, or tortured, or things like that. Some get through it, some don't. The ones that get through it are controlling what they're thinking about.
Right.
I spent some time with a woman that had gone through a concentration camp,
Mm.
and it was just amazing to listen to her. And she just passed away 2 weeks ago. And I
Mm.
am telling you, the lessons she taught in her lifetime. She said, Nikki, my sister and I are the only two that made it through that. The rest of my family all died inside. And
Mm.
she said, what we did is we thought about what we would do when we were out of this camp.
Oh,
When
yeah.
we had a crumb of bread, we ate it a morsel at a time, like it was a feast. I mean,
Wow.
she told me all the strategies she used. And I thought, we all have control of our minds. We
Hmm.
don't have to take what comes at us. We can choose something different.
Absolutely. And what I say to my clients all the time, Nikki, is we're always at choice as to
Yes,
how we respond or react or whatever. We are at choice. It may not feel like it in the moment, but we are.
yes,
And at choice means responsibility.
it
I,
does.
I love the way you said that. And
I'm
and
gonna ask,
managing our thoughts, what
yes,
a huge piece that is in all of life, right?
it
In
is.
everything.
That's where it all begins, because see, your thoughts lead to feelings.
Mhm.
So whatever you're thinking, you're going to feel something about that. So if
Right.
you're thinking our world is a mess, I feel bad that I'm in this bad situation. So what kind of action or inaction do you do? So most people will either curl up and just be depressed or try to avoid.
Right.
Some will lash out and be angry.
Mhm.
But those actions or inactions lead to the results that you're getting, and you're responsible for those results that you're getting. Each of us is.
Exactly.
So I wanted to go back for a minute because that key point of the difference between reacting and responding. You
Mm.
see, responding is from logic. It's a
Right.
logical place. You thought about it and came up with a decision.
Mhm.
Reacting is an emotional response.
Yes.
So my dad taught me this a long time ago. When emotions are high, logic is low.
Hmm.
When emotions are high, logic is low. So if you are highly emotional, which is happening with some people, they're getting angry about this. So
Hmm.
their emotions are high. One thing to ask yourself when you're in that place, when you're ready to just like bite somebody's head off and you're mad, ask yourself this question again, self coaching. How would I prefer to feel?
Ah,
How
nice.
do I prefer to feel right now in this
Mhm.
moment? And
Yes.
if you know that there will not be anything good coming from a reaction, especially a violent reaction,
Hmm.
when you ask yourself, how would I prefer to feel? I prefer always to feel at peace,
At
to
peace.
feel joyful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about what you're saying? So much of it ties in with energy. And, I use the tools of energy psychology in my work. So I'm always looking at energy. So one of the things that occurred to me when you were talking about gratitude, the vibration of gratitude is very high. When we're angry or sad or depressed or whatever, our vibration is low. When you move into thoughts of gratitude, you're bringing your actual energetic vibration up.
Yes.
And that's so true. And what you were just discussing again, this whole, what did you say your dad used to say? When emotion
When
is high,
emotions are high, logic is low. He
logic.
said, if you're highly emotional, people can run circles around you. They
Yeah.
can think you.
Well,
So,
and there's actually science behind that.
mhm,
Because when your amygdala, that part of your brain that's always checking your environment to see if you're safe, when it senses you're not safe, the frontal cortex gets shut off and the blood goes to the back brain so that the amygdala, the brain, can prepare you for fight, flight, or freeze. Because if you're in true danger, that's what you need to do.
yeah.
So this actually is totally shut off. So logical, linear problem solving thinking is not on board. And my opinion is that one of the problems we've been looking at for the last couple of weeks is too many amygdalas are controlling the show, because this frontal cortex is shut down when it's fight, flight, or freeze time.
And some people stay in that always
Yes, always. It's
fearful. Fearful. See, how can you move fear away from you?
mhm.
The opposite of fear is faith. Absolute
Oh,
opposite
I love
of
that.
fear is faith.
Mhm.
So being in faith and hope and looking for what's possible.
Mhm.
The old Hawaiian people, my husband was raised by his great great grandmother. She took him as an infant and moved him to the Big Island. And she was all about him. I mean, she adored him. And what I discovered with that was that because of the way she taught him about faith, about looking for what's good in the world. When you look out your window, what do you see? Do you see a dirty window or do you see the beautiful palm tree that's swaying? She taught him those things. So he has never been fearful. And I don't know, I guess just being with him brings me peace.
Oh, it's
Who,
beautiful.
who we surround ourselves with is part of this also.
Absolutely. They're all affecting your energy field. It's very, very important to surround ourselves with the right people, with the right energy. I think what you're saying about that is so true. And I love too that the children are picking up on this beautiful energy, this peaceful energy. I believe you told me there was one protest in Hawaii, and how did that go? Or that on your island, anyway.
It was very peaceful. It was through Waikiki. They just walked on the sidewalk,
Mm.
had signs, and had song and dance, and went out the other end. And nobody did any. It was one. And I tell you, I was so proud of our people. It's okay to have your voice be heard, but
Yeah,
you people will hear much more when you come at it in a calm manner.
it's so true. That
Yeah.
is absolutely so true. And
Mm.
when we come back from this break, Nicki, I'd like to talk a little bit about that perspective that you teach people of remembering sort of this too shall pass, that all experiences are transient.
Yes.
And we'll get into a little bit of that and a little more of that aloha spirit when we
Oh,
come back. We'll
thank
be right back. All right, my dear, if you're ready to roll, we're going into the last segment. This has gone so fast. It's been
you.
so
Yeah.
beautiful. I need to have you back about 10 more times. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio, here with Paula Shaw and my guest today, Nicki Keohohou of Hawaii, who is the CEO of the Direct Sales World Alliance and the co-founder of Coaching for Excellence. Is it, Nicki?
Coach Excellent Schools.
Coach Excellence Schools. We are talking about, is peace possible? And she has shared some beautiful wisdom and insights and great information that comes straight from the beauty and the peace of Hawaii. So we
Mm.
were just talking a little bit about, we want to talk about when things are not looking good or when they're not feeling comfortable. What do you teach people, Nicki, in terms of realizing it's not always going to be just like this? There is no permanent disaster state.
Yes. Well, I've used the word for most of my life. This is a temporary situation.
Mm-hmm.
This is a temporary situation. So, what can I do today to enjoy my life more? What can I do today to have more ease in the journey? Whose life can I make a difference in today? Those are all good self coaching questions that support you to
Mm-hmm.
see beyond the current circumstances.
Yes,
People who feel helpless can't see beyond the situation they're in right now.
right.
People that have hope and can look into the future, even if they're not sure what it is, they can say, this is what I would like my life to look like. I
Yeah.
was telling Paula the other day, we gathered a lot of things for our shelters because we have a lot of people that are homeless right now, and half our island is out of work.
Mm.
And we went down to that shelter and took all these things. And I looked across the street, and they were all the way around the block, tents and canvases and things of people waiting in line in case one person left the shelter, they and their family could move in.
Wow.
And I thought, these people haven't given up. They have hope. They have hope that they're going to make it into that shelter. They
Mm.
have hope that they're with people who are in like situations. And I noticed there were some people that were praying with others. There were people that were playing with children. They weren't helpless and hopeless. And
Yeah.
I think that doesn't matter what the situation is. People that live that are out at sea and their boat dies and they fall over water, they live for a couple of days because they didn't give up.
Yes.
And that's what I want for folks.
Mm. I
Temporary.
love, I love that idea that we, again, it's kind of like looking for what's possible on a positive level. I can remember once having a conversation with a friend, and I, he was saying something negative about the potential future. And I realized, and then I did a little research on this, what this huge percentage of people, when they project into the future, project the negative thing that could happen rather than the positive. And
Mm-hmm.
there's actually some reason for that in our development as a species, because if we couldn't project and think about what might happen if we do certain thing, we would not be able to protect ourselves down the road. It would be like each time you fall in the same hole over and over again, you know, you wouldn't be remembering. So it's innate in humans to protect a possible negative potential because that could threaten our survival. But I think as humans, we also have the potential to rise above that in our spiritual selves and look for that positive future, visualize the positive thing that's possible.
I
Like
think that's
Bert
the
is saying.
between the possibility thinkers and the probability thinkers.
Yeah,
Probability thinkers, it probably won't work because, and then they justify their reason.
right.
Possibility thinkers think, well, what is possible? What have I not done yet? Who
Mm,
else has done this in the past and blazed that trail? Who else could I learn from? They think differently.
yes.
And thinking is a choice. It really is.
Mm,
And if you're around a lot of negative people, see, I choose not to be around a lot of negative people because I can block it. I really can. But
mhm.
I, but I also feel that it's an energy that people are portraying onto you, and I choose to see my life differently and the people around me
Yes.
differently. So I've always been a possibility thinker. Think of Walt Disney. We wouldn't have Disneyland, Disney World, had he not seen beyond all the people that told him it wouldn't work and it was impossible and it couldn't happen.
So true.
We've got to take time to imagine things,
Mhm.
to imagine the possibility. That slowing down to speed up in life. Slow down and imagine what you want your life to look like, and then dream, and then create the vision, and then the process, how you're going to do it. That's all part of moving forward.
Mm.
Nobody here's stuck. Nobody. We can
What
choose
I
different.
Something I think is ironic as I'm listening to what you're saying, I'm thinking, what a perfect message for every parent to give their children, right? Give them the right to exercise imagination and dream and go big.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't get that support from their family, from their friends, as children or adults. And it just occurred to me in this very moment you were speaking, Nicki, that probably people don't discourage others out of meanness or because they don't care about them. It's almost the opposite. They want to save them from hurt, right? They
Oh,
want
yeah.
to save them from something going wrong and your dream falling apart. But
Yes.
in that effort, you're really tearing down the energy and the excitement and the dream.
Uh-huh.
And so dreamers have to be courageous, don't they?
To
I
get
mean,
through that.
yeah,
Yes.
we're talking about today is peace possible? I think if we really believe it is, we're going to have to be courageous. And we're going to have to hear people say, no, it isn't. Look what's happened in the Middle East. Look at this, look at that. You know, we are going to have to believe what we believe here so strongly that we can stand strong when the winds of negativity are blowing.
And that's being an influencer. It does us no good if we all sit in silence and
Mm,
let the world go by and all the junk going on around us. We can influence others. Your show influences others to
mm,
have a new thought, another way of looking at something. I
yes,
do believe that peace is possible. And I live in it every day. And I
mm,
know lots of other people that do too.
mm,
And being open to learning and to open your eyes to other views. I say if we're not growing, we're not going. And there are lots of people that are going nowhere or backwards because they stopped learning.
right.
So your program is a place that's safe. You don't even have to show your face. You just get to listen, take
Mhm.
notes, go back and listen again because there's something there in all learning. There's something there for us that the messenger shows up when you're ready.
That's right.
When you're ready. I say open your mind, open your heart for what's meant for you. If
Mm.
you don't have an open mind and an open heart, it's hard to have anything be different in your life.
Oh, it's so true. It's so true. And Nicki, I'm just sitting here just basking in the wisdom that you shared and the being that you are. And so much of what you are, I'm thinking about all that you've created on the planet and the success you've had, the direct selling, World Alliance. I mean, that's got to be a huge job. But I can see that you are living what you said early on in the show. If you have peace within you, then all this stuff can be going on out here and you can handle it because you take your peace with you wherever you go, I believe, Nicki.
Yes, that is true.
Mm.
And it's not looking at the chaos. See, what you look for, you attract more. So if I look for joy and peace, like I have a beautiful hibiscus tree right outside my window here. And sometimes I just look out there and say, what a peaceful life that tree has. The flowers bloom in the sunshine and they close down at night and go to sleep. You know, I have baby birds in one of my palm trees right now, and watching the mom and the dad go. Take time to slow down. Enjoy your environment. Enjoy what you have around you, the people around you. Smile at people. You know, my mom used to say, Nicki, all the smiles you give away will come back to you someday. I didn't know I was going to get some like smiley lines everywhere.
Yeah, I know, doggone those.
But you know what I discovered was it's true. When you give joy, you also receive joy.
Mm.
So
You know,
don't.
one of the things I love that you said to me the other day was something about the river of life flows more smoothly when you're operating from the good of all, right? Or would you
It's
expand on
really
that a
good.
little?
Everybody just say this with us. Put your hands like this, okay, in front of you, and just move them like a river. The river of life
The river of life
is smooth
is smooth
when everything that we do
when everything that we do
is for the good of all.
is for the good of all.
If
Oh,
that's your
goodness.
motto, it's win, win, win all around you. So
Mhm.
you bring joy to other people and you bring peace to them. It doesn't need to be a competition. It doesn't need to be one against the other.
Mhm.
It can be the river of life. And it is a beautiful thing when you can facilitate that and be an influencer in that area of your life.
Nicki, I can't think of a more perfect place to end our time together, which went way too fast for me.
Oh,
Thank you, thank you, thank you for this beautiful being that you are, for everything that you shared with us. And
mm,
oh, the heart gesture and the sharing
oh,
is it some the you talked about a gesture from Hula. There was
yes,
something about from my heart. How does
yes.
it go? Can you do it?
What you do, this is how I end every speech. For many, many years I did this. And in hula, your hands, you know, do all the talking. So I would take my hands to my heart and go all the way across the room to every person in that room is to share part of the Aloha Spirit with
Beautiful.
others. And then I would say mahalo, which means thank you, and
Mm.
aloha, which means hello, goodbye, and I love you. It's you carry that peace with you and then share it with others.
Bless you, Nicki, and thank you. And thank you to all my listeners and viewers for being with us for this very, very special show. You can hear Change It Up Radio in San Diego at 9 o'clock on Sunday evening on AM 1170 and 96.1 FM. And we are on every major podcast platform. And if you can't remember any of that, just ask Alexa or ask Siri, they'll find us. See you next week on Change It Up Radio. Bye bye.